Hello, my name is M.A.Muhaimin. I am a front-end software developer from Bangladesh, and in this video I am going to show you how to deploy your Nuxt SSR app in Firebase using Firebase hosting and Firebase cloud functions. I am making this video because first of all I could not find any YouTube tutorials on how to deploy my Nuxt SSR app on Firebase. There is a video. If you go to YouTube and search how to deploy Nuxt SSR in Firebase, you would see there is a video posted by the official Firebase YouTube channel about this topic, but it was posted almost 2 years ago, so it is quite outdated now. And secondly, if you go to the Nuxt official website, which nuxtjs.org, and go to the FAQ section, you would see that there is a bunch of documentations about deploying your Nuxt app on various hosting platforms like GitHub, Azure portal, but there is no mention of Firebase here. So I'm going to guess that there is no official documentation about how to deploy your Nuxt app on Firebase. So in order to solve this, I went to the internet and searched for various resources, read a bunch of blogs, and was finally able to solve the problem and successfully deploy my Nuxt app on Firebase. Today I'm going to share the steps involved in the process with you. So let's begin. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to follow this blog you see on your screen here, and uh, I'm going to link this blog in the video description, and I highly recommend you go through the full blog and read it thoroughly. I'm going to make some modifications, the modifications to the steps shown in this blog. So let's go through the steps involved first. The first step is to create your Nuxt app in your local system. The second step would be creating a Firebase project in the Firebase console. The third step is initializing Firebase in your Nuxt project, and then we need to write our cloud function. We need to specify the Nuxt render function in our Firebase cloud functions. Then we need to modify firebase.json config for deployment, and finally deploy our projects. So let's go through the steps one by one. So first of all, let's go to our terminal and then go to the directory I want to create my app in, and now I'm going to type npx create Nuxt app demo Firebase Nuxt. So this is going to create an app named demo Firebase Nuxt in my current directory and initialize it. So it's asking for my project name, which is demo Firebase Nuxt. Programming language JavaScript. I use npm. Let's use UI framework. I'm not sure if you pronounce it that way. And yes, ptr lint stage style lint, none. It's universal. I'm going to use so okay. So it's now installing my packages at the project. Let's wait. Okay, so now our project has been created and initialized. So let's go to our project directory and run our development server by typing npm run dev. So we can see that our app is being served from our localhost port 3000. So let's head over to our browser. Works. So we can see here it is working. And now for the next step, we have to create a Firebase project in Firebase console. So let's head over to the console.firebase.google.com. You may have to log in first before you can visit the page. So let's click add project, give our project name, count. Okay, so it's creating our project, so let's wait for it to finish. So our project has been created, so let's head over to our project dashboard, and we can see our hostings and functions from here. When they are deployed, we will be able to monitor and see them from this dashboard. Next, we need to initialize Firebase in our Nuxt project. So now we head over to our terminal. Wrong path. Okay, let's head over to the project directory and okay. So to initialize Firebase in our project, we need to type in Firebase init. So before you can run this command, you need to make sure you have installed Firebase first. Without Firebase tools installed, you cannot use the Firebase command. So in order to install Firebase tools first, you need to type in npm-g install Firebase tools. You need to run as administrator sudo. So I already have Firebase tools installed, so I'm not going to run this. So I'm going to run Firebase init. So it's going to take some input. We are going to use functions and hosting. Okay, going to use our existing project. We're going to select our project and select our language. Yes, so it's installing all the dependencies to our Firebase realization. So now the CLI is asking us what do we want to use, what directory we want to use for public directory. So in case of Firebase, the public directory hosts all our static assets and static pages. This is the directory that gets deployed to Firebase hosting. So I'm going to specify our public folder as our public directory. No, we don't want to configure it as single page app. And our Firebase initialization is complete. We can see that there is a new folder which is named functions in our project directory. This folder is going to host our server-side code that is going to deploy to Firebase functions. Two more files are generated, which is the Firebase outc and Firebase JSON. Firebase JSON is we are going to need this Firebase JSON to configure our Firebase deployment commands. The public directory also gets created and two files are written here. One is 404.html and index.html. So now we are going to write our cloud function. Let's head over to the blog and I'm going to copy this code and paste it inside our functions/index.js file. So let's paste it. Functions is already imported. Okay, so let's go through this code. At first we have imported functions from Firebase functions. Then we have imported Nuxt from Nuxt start. So we have used Nuxt start instead of Nuxt. The reason that we used Nuxt start instead of Nuxt is explained well in the blog, so I highly recommend you first. Then we are going to import Nuxt config from nuxt.config.js. So if you look closely, there is no nuxt.config.js inside our functions folder. So before we deploy our cloud functions, we need to copy our nuxt.config.js from root directory to inside functions. Then the config object is modified for deployment, for production deployment. So we have dev and debug to false and build directory to Nuxt. This build directory indicates the folder in which our build files are stored. So if you look again inside the functions folder, there is no build directory named Nuxt. So before we deploy our cloud function, we need to build our project and copy our build files uh, inside the Nuxt folder that should be created inside the functions folder. Next, we initialize the Nuxt object and write a cloud function named SSR app, inside which we simply wait for Nuxt to be ready and return a Nuxt.render middleware. And that's it, our cloud function is ready. And the next step is to modify our firebase.json for deployment. So first of all, I am going to specify a source property which indicates the source of our functions, which is the functions folder, and then I'm going to write some commands inside the pre-deploy hook. The commands inside the pre-deploy hook will be executed every time we deploy the Firebase Cloud Functions. So in this pre-deploy hook, we are going to first run npm run build. So this is going to build our project and store our build files inside the .nuxt folder. And then I'm going to remove function slash nuxt folder. So what this does is, if the function slash nuxt folder exists inside the functions, then it is removed. So remember this, the function slash nuxt folder is our build directory as mentioned inside our cloud function index.js here. So we are going to first remove it. If it exists, then we are going to recursively copy our contents of the .nuxt folder to the function slash nuxt folder, and also we are going to copy our nuxt.config.js from root to inside our functions. So this is our pre-deploy hook, and before we deploy our functions, we need to do one more thing. We need to make sure that the packages we used in our development, the packages that are used inside our project, are also mentioned in our package.json inside our functions. So I'm going to look over these two files and copy the dependencies that are not present, the dev dependency Nuxt. Okay. And here I'm not going to install Nuxt inside our Firebase functions before, because we actually use Nuxt start, not Nuxt. I'm going and run npm -- prefix functions install. So this command is going to install all the packages inside the package.json at the functions folder and install them inside the node modules, which is also inside our functions folder. So let's run it. And furthermore, I'm going to install Nuxt start functions, Nuxt start inside our functions folder. Okay, so that the Nuxt start is present inside the package.json. So now let's see if we can deploy our functions, cloud functions. Oh, and one more thing, we have to copy this inside our functions.json, firebase.json. What this does is point to the SSR app function which applied inside our index.js inside functions. It basically points to the function that will run when a page is requested from our Firebase server. So SSRF function will then handle the request and return the correct generated index.html. So now let's deploy our Firebase function. npm not npm Firebase deploy only functions. That it's running our pre-deploy hooks. Our project is built. Is telling us that unexpected token export either Nuxt config.js. So this type of error is caused because of mismatch in the ECMAScript standard between two files. So our function slash index.js is written in ES5 and the Nuxt config.js is written in ES6. It consists of export.default. So in order to solve this problem, what I'm going to do, replace this export.default with module.exports, which is an 5 syntax. Going to give us a linting error. I'm going to ignore it for this line. So now again run the previous command. For now again our project build. Okay, it seems that it is working. Okay, see that our deploy is complete. So if we head over to our dashboard and go to functions, we should see our functions that is deployed. Okay, that our SSR app is deployed. It's also telling us that Node.js 8 has been deprecated. No matter, we will upgrade it later. So now our next step would be configure our hosting pre-deploy commands in firebase.json. So let's head over to firebase.json, and inside our hosting we are going to a similar pre-deploy hook. Copy that and paste here. So before we rewrite this pre-deploy command for hosting deployment, you need to see that when we run our npm run build, the Nuxt CLI builds our project inside the .nuxt folder inside the dist, and it creates two different folders, one for server and one for client. We are going to need to copy this client folder from here inside the public folder. So I'm going to do that inside the pre-deploy hook. So let's write our command, and that is, at first we need to delete our old public folder every time we deploy the contents of the public folder. Actually delete the contents of the public folder and make a directory named _nuxt. Here _nuxt is the default public path for Nuxt projects. Our Nuxt.nuxt/dist/client folder should be inside this public/nuxt folder in order for our Nuxt server to correctly serve our pages. So you can rename this folder from _nuxt to anything you want, but you will also have to modify the nuxt config.js build object and specify that public path here. Let's say if I say public path to, let's say, nxt, so then we can change this to nxt. So for now we are going to leave it as default. Don't want to modify it, so the default public path is nuxt. And so after making the directory public/nuxt, next we will have to recursively copy our nuxt/dist/client folder to public/_nuxt folder, and also copy all our static assets inside our public folder. Okay, now let's run firebase deploy --only hosting. Okay, we have an error. Hosting PWR command terminated with cannot stat nuxt dist client, no such file or directory. Okay, so the dist folder is gone from .nuxt folder. Okay, let's run npm run build again, or about dist folder, and the previous one again. Okay, let's visit our URL. Working. Okay, it says that the file does not exist. There was no index.html found in current directory. Okay, this generally means that our SSR app server is not working. Sometimes it takes a bit of time work after deployment. Okay, so after a bit of debugging, I finally found the problem. It seems that our rewrites property or rewrites array should be inside our host object inside firebase.json. So I'm going to copy this rewrites array inside our hosting object. So what this does is basically rewrite our traffic to our function SSRF function, and this SSRF function ultimately runs the Nuxt render function, which returns the Nuxt render middleware, which actually generates our pages and returns them to the client. So now I should run firebase deploy, and okay, I have a syntax error. Okay, now I should run firebase deploy. So our deployment is complete. Now let's visit again and see if it works. It time, and we have another error. So in order to debug it, go to our functions and go to our logs, see the logs from our server. So basically it is saying that syntax error has occurred. So these types of errors generally occurs when our generated code by the build command of Nuxt generates JavaScripts that are not supported by the Firebase backend. So in order to convert the build JavaScript codes something that is supported by the Firebase backend, we are going to modify our Nuxt config.js. So at first, the Nuxt config.js in our build object, by extract css to true, and then we are going to use Babel plugin to convert our JavaScript code to supported version. So I'm going to write. So this basically initializes a Nuxt Babel preset app plugin and specifies the node version and browsers. So the node version is 10.21.0. So inside our function slash index.js, sorry, function slash package.json, we have to upgrade our node.js engine to version 10. So now all our JavaScript codes, after we run npm run build, JavaScript codes that are being generated will be supported by Firebase Node.js backend. So now if we deploy this, let's see what happens. So another syntax error. Okay. Ended. Now should be the Node.js version is updating to version 10. Okay, our deployment is complete. So let's again visit our page. Okay, that the web page is generated correctly. We go to the page source, we can see that the whole HTML served by the Firebase Cloud function. Okay, so we have successfully deployed our Nuxt SSR app to Firebase using Firebase Cloud functions and Firebase hosting. I hope this video was informative enough to help you. All the codes will be available via GitHub repo. I will give a link in the description. The blog that I used here will also be linked below. So thanks for watching. Next time.